your life, you've thought that pasta sauce should use tomatoes. Well, today I'm going to burst that tomato bubble. I'm Chef Michelle Bernstein. Join me today as I make pasta sauces without tomatoes here on SoFlo Taste. How fun is that? Good morning, taste buds, and welcome to SoFlo Taste and the Goya Kitchen at JA World. If you think pasta sauces have to be tomato-based, boy, are you in the right place, because today I'm making pasta sauces that aren't red. Maybe pink, but not red for sure. So let's get cooking. So I don't know if you know that spiny lobsters or Florida Caribbean lobsters are in season, and you can find them at Delaware Chicken Farm and Seafood Market. They are amazing, and they split them for you, they clean them up for you, they'll even pull all the meat out, although that would be sad, but they'll do any of that. And they have these gorgeous lobsters and so much more. You have to go see them at 4191 North State Road 7 in Hollywood. Go to DelawareChicken.com, call them 954-983-6831. Put your order in, tell them I sent you, and send them my love. They're the best. All right, so spiny lobsters. They've already separated for me, so I'm just gonna grab a couple tails. Normally I would cook this whole thing, but we'll do that next time. Believe it or not, there's a lot of gorgeous meat up in the head region and in all the spine region of the Florida lobsters. It's delicious. But right now, we're just gonna make a quick pasta sauce using the tails. So let's go ahead and cut these tails up. So I really want people to taste and feel the lobster in their mouth. You know, texture to me is just as important as flavor. So I'm gonna cut the lobster up in nice sized pieces so that we really know what we're eating. And unlike I do a lot of times, I'm actually going to use a par-cooked pasta, which you can easily do if you really undercook it. Let's say pasta normally takes about 10 minutes to be fully cooked, which is not really how I make it at home. I like 8-minute pasta. I'll pre-cook it for about 4 to 5 minutes, shuck it under cold water, and then you just put it on a sheet pan with a little bit of oil. And this is undercooked pasta, and we'll finish cooking it in the sauce. So it'll soak up all the goodness from the sauce. So we've got this lobster, we're all set with that. Let's talk about all the flavorings for lobster. Lobster goes beautifully with a lot of the things that we have here today. I think we should just start cooking and talking about it at the same time. I'm going to start with some good oil and jump right in. I have a fine julienne of cleaned ginger, which we just peel and cut really thin. I've got a nice thin julienne of shallots, one of my favorite things. Instead of onion, we use a lot of shallots. A little minced garlic. So let's go ahead and cook this just until the aromatics start to sweat and become a little transparent. I'm gonna go ahead and season my lobster with some Aleppo dried chili, which is a little less spicy and a little more mysterious in flavor than normal red crushed chili. I'm gonna add some kosher salt. We're using some zest of lemon for its freshness, which goes beautifully with any kind of seafood. Let's go ahead and just add this to the lobster so that it adheres and gives it great flavor. All right. I've roasted some grape tomatoes in the oven. These have been cut in half, drizzled with a little oil, thrown into a 375 to 400 degree oven just until they just start to burst, so they're really beautifully soft and juicy. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and add the lobster to the pan. The one thing we don't want to do is overcook the lobster, so we're gonna have to go really quickly. We already have great flavor in the pan. We don't need much more, but we do need some kind of liquid. I'm gonna add a tiny little bit of white wine. If you don't have any open, don't bother. It's not a big deal. Or if you want, just go ahead with a little bit of chicken broth. You can even open some up if you have any around. That'll be great for some kind of liquid. At this point, I'm gonna go ahead, the lobster is about 50 to 60% cooked. So is my pasta. So they're gonna finish cooking together. So I'm gonna add the pasta into the pan, as well as the tomatoes, straight from the rack. Now we have our sweetness, our juiciness, yum. Start mixing it up gently, not to break anything up. I've decided instead of a lot of butter to use mascarpone. Mascarpone is beautiful creamy cheese. It doesn't have a lot of flavor, but it's a great binding agent. So about a spoonful of mascarpone with one tiny, this is probably about not even a half a tablespoon of butter. Okay, we're almost fully cooked now. Let's just make sure that the mascarpone combines everything together. It's an emulsifier and it works beautifully on things like pasta. The only thing this needs to me is a little bit of herbs. Here I have some tarragon, which is a very good friend of lobster. Lobster and tarragon are so good together. Let's go ahead and pick some of those off of the gorgeous stems. And finally a little dill, which if you ever watch my show, you know that I have a problem with dill. I like it too much. All right, so let's bring that together. I'm just gonna chop it up roughly. This can go right into the pasta. A pinch more salt just to bring it all together. I'm gonna shut the heat off because it's finished cooking. The pasta's hot enough. The lobster has just finished cooking. The smell is so beautiful. And it's gorgeous and creamy. So let's go ahead and serve it immediately because it's so ready to go. And what I love is that the pasta is not overcooked. The lobster, more importantly, is not overcooked. Everything came together. There's not too many ingredients to cloud the gorgeous taste of lobster here. And I would only do this during spiny lobster season. Now, if you wanted to, of course, you could use gorgeous shrimp. Delaware Seafood has all kinds of gorgeous, beautiful local shrimp that this would be good, really good with too, but I'm taking advantage of our season of spiny lobsters. A beautiful beginning to a tomato sauceless day. Come right back. We have 2 more beautiful recipes for you.
Chef Michelle has more from the Goya kitchen at J.A. World. SoFlo Taste is back in 2.
Welcome back to SoFlo Taste. All of my recipes are always available on the SoFlo Show's webpage. I'm there, of course, along with Elena from SoFlo Home and Hunter from SoFlo Health. And here's the easiest way to get to that page. Just point your phone camera at this quick response code. It can take you directly to the SoFlo Show's recipes. You also see it on the ingredient list throughout the show. Now back to pasta sauces that won't make you see red. I love pumpkin squash so much, and I love it with pasta. So I'm gonna try something a little different with it. Let's see how delicious we can make it together. I am browning a little butter. It's almost there. I love brown butter. Now, it doesn't mean that it's burnt. It just means that it's delicately browned, which it has arrived and achieved right now. I also have some toasted pine nuts here that have cooked in some neutral oil. And as you see, they're still sitting in the oil because I wanted to show you the oil is just as delicious as the pine nut. I suggest you save both separately because you can cook with that oil, finish with that oil, and it's really so good. So we're gonna take butternut squash. I've already got some peeled, seeded, and chopped really in any old way. And we're gonna throw that into the brown butter. I'm going to add all of the seasonings that I would normally toss the squash in to roast it, but we're gonna do that in the pan. So I have a little bit of ground cardamom, ground cumin, very little cumin. I don't want a lot in my pasta. A little bit of cinnamon. I was on the edge about the brown sugar. Now I always toss a little brown sugar into my squash to obviously bring out the sweetness. So we're just gonna do the same thing. Just a little bit. Let's go ahead and stir that around a little bit. This is wonderful for the holidays, by the way. Then I'm going to add some very finely minced shallots and salt. You can have all the spices in the world, but if you don't remember your salt, it's just not going to be the beautiful flavor that it can be. Now, just like in the last pasta, the lobster pasta, we have went ahead and pre-cooked this pasta because I'm going to add some stock to this, and I want it to heat through and finish cooking in the sauce as well. Aleppo chili flakes, which I don't know if you've noticed I've been using a lot of lately. It's so good. It smells so good. It tastes so good. If you can't find it, which you have to be able to find it, but if you can't find it, use crushed red pepper flake. Every time I cook with squash and pasta, I seem to always need some sage, so I brought some here today. I've decided that I do not use sage enough. I do love the herb, so let's use some today. I also am using a cheese that I haven't used in a little while. We decided to get some ricotta salata. So salata means when something is salted and then it dries, just like this ricotta cheese has dried, as well as a little bit of pecorino. Both together just make a delicious pasta. Let's see how our squash is doing. Smells delicious and it looks lovely. So I'm going to go ahead and now add, everything needs either pasta water, chicken stock. You always need some kind of moisture liquid to make a really good pasta sauce. So let's go ahead. We have some chicken broth right here. I have decided for the pine nut, not only am I going to use the pine nuts themselves to finish this pasta, but I'm actually, instead of butter, I'm going to use some of the pine nut oil as my fat for this pasta because it's so beautifully nutty. All right, so this squash needs at least 5 minutes before I add the pasta in, so it's the perfect time for you to go to the fridge, get a snack, because I know I'm making you hungry. So hurry up, come right back. I'll see you here. I'll finish this recipe right after this. Welcome back to SoFlo Taste. We're here at JA World in Coconut Creek, a great place for our children and their futures. For information about more and what JA does for our kids, go to jasouthflorida.org or call 954-979-7100. Now back to the food. This is gorgeous. So our pasta has soaked up all of this beautiful broth, which has the squash flavor and all the spices. We're going to finish it off with some sage. And here I have I basically grated on a box grater ricotta salata and pecorino. Two salty, delicious cheeses that would go with that beautiful sweet pasta mixture. Let's combine that together. Yum. And put it here for you to see how gorgeous it came out. Now you have to love squash for this, and I am very much a squash lover. It started breaking down just in the 5 minutes that you were away, and now it's just sort of become part of the pasta itself. All right, so there you go. Look at that beautiful dish. So yummy. Let's just top it with a few of these gorgeous nuts. Yes. So, have you ever wanted to make fettuccine alfredo? Did you know that it doesn't take any heavy cream and it doesn't take any thickening agents? I've had fettuccine cooking. It's been cooking for a little while, so it already has starchy water. So the first thing I'm going to do is add some of this starchy water to my saute pan. Let this come to a boil. I've got just grated Parmesan. I would never use this Parmesan if I purchased it this way. We grated it this way. We put it into a food processor. I've got some cut up butter. I have salt and pepper. That's basically it. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of black pepper, pinch of salt, and butter into my starchy water. And the starch from the pasta has made my starchy water, and that is going to adhere to the butter that's in this pan. So let's emulsify just by shaking it. It needs to be on a nice high heat. Meanwhile, I'm just stirring my pasta. Coming together, coming together, coming together. Okay, now I just really want it to start reducing, and as it reduces, it will start coming together. Okay, now as it starts to thicken, I'm gonna go ahead and start adding my very al dente fettuccine that's gonna finish cooking in the pasta water and add even more starchiness to it. Trying to figure how much I want to eat. Usually it's way too much. So, common mistake, I've added a little too much pasta, too little starchy water. And I can hear it crackling. So I'm gonna add a little more pasta water, little by little, to the pan. Okay, adding a little more butter and bring it back together. Yes. Now it's coming together. Now I'm going to start adding the cheese and keep stirring and bringing it together. The cheese is part of the emulsification process of the fettuccine. Now remember one thing, the better the cheese, the better the pasta sauce, right? I mean, you have to use great ingredients when you only have starchy water and noodles, a little bit of butter. You better believe that the butter's pretty damn good, but the cheese has to be great. Shake until you can't shake anymore. You see how it's become emulsified and creamy looking? That is just because of the pasta water, the butter, and a little bit of cheese. You see that? It looks like a cream sauce, doesn't it? But it's not. Ah, I love cooking. Anyway, so I'm gonna put all this together, put a little bit of fresh cheese on it, make it look more presentable. When you come back, I think we should dive in there together, don't you? See you in a few. To get a taste of what we made on today's show, go to SoFloShows.com. Come right back. All right, everyone, so this is creamy and delicious. I wanted to add a bit more black pepper because it's so important to an Alfredo. Let's go ahead and join all this gorgeous pasta and sauce together. I really wanted to show you how gorgeously creamy. You know what? Let me just show you by pouring it out how gorgeously creamy the sauce really is. All right, let's put some fresh Parmesan right over the top. You can also use Pecorino Romano, but I love Reggiano on this one. Cheesy, the way every Alfredo should be. Before I go, I want to remind you that our good friends at Delaware Chicken Farm and Seafood Market will be donating 10 cents per pound of poultry breast meat sold to the Florida Breast Cancer Foundation in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, which begins today. You can pick up your poultry and more in store at 4191 North State Road 7 in Hollywood, or see them at DelawareChicken.com. Call them 954-983-6831. Place an order. That's duck, that's chicken, that's cutlets. Any breast, that I can think of that is poultry, You can order from them, and of course, it will go to a very worthy cause. Make sure you tell them Michelle sent you and send them my love and thanks. Well, how did you like those pasta sauces? Can you believe they had no tomato in them? Even though they'll never be Sunday gravy, they can be invited to Sunday dinner. Give any of them a try. I'm sure you'll add them to your go-to recipes. They were so easy. Now next week, I get myself in a sticky situation. Culinary, that is. I'm giving you recipes that I guarantee will stick to your ribs. Actually, they'll stick to anything, your fingers, whatefe. They're ooey, they're gooey. They're like sticky buns, sticky pudding, sticky everything. So stick to our schedule of meeting here every Saturday for SoFlo Taste. Now let's see what our friend Hunter Frankie has on his sticky pad for tomorrow's SoFlo Health. Hey Hunter, what's up?
Hey there, Michelle. I'm in a bit of a bind right now, but Mike here is teaching me how to do jitsu, and we head to a local med spa providing free treatments for a great cause. Personal trainer Morgan Shapiro teaches us 2 versions of this popular leg exercise, and Professor Produce shares the health benefits of mangoes.
Thanks, Hunter. We'll be watching. So Taste Buds, that's this week's show. Be smart, be safe, and be vaccinated. And I'll see y'all here next week for some sticky stuff. Goodbye. Mwah. Oh, that was sticky. And good taste. Sorry, Chef Boyardee.